briefly present myself. I am Dr. Fathia Jellad from University of Sousse, Tunisia. I have recently obtained my PhD degree in cultural studies, and I currently work as a secondary school teacher in Tunisia, particularly in the city of Mehdia. Well, as you can see, my paper focuses on the importance of blogs as motivational tools for writing. So in my presentation, I will focus particularly on a specific skill, which is writing. Well, my presentation will be divided into the following major parts. First of all, I will start with briefly introducing the background of this study. Then I will share with you my research questions, followed by the literature review and the research methodology that I have adopted in this study. Next, I will analyze the key findings, and I will finalize with the major conclusion, the overall conclusion, and the limitations of my study. Well, to start with, students need to understand that composition is an effective tool to express individual attitudes towards a myriad of real-life subjects. That is, possessing the writing skill enables students to effectively communicate and share their ideas. Unfortunately, the majority of our students, and here I talk about a particular context of Tunisian students, they do not pay too much attention to writing skills. So in the majority of my classes, and I talk from my own experience, and I believe that many of my... Yes?
Can you make the slide full? Bigger than this?
Yeah, that's better now, I guess.
Yes, it is.
Okay, yeah. So, as I said, from my own experience in teaching, so I realized that the majority of students don't pay too much attention to writing. And whenever I assign writing in the classroom, so they feel demotivated. So, and they keep waiting for the teacher either to help them or to correct the activity. And with time, and we realized that the issue was related to motivation, and that's where the idea came. Why not we adopt technology? So nowadays we are in the 21st century, and technology is revolutionizing all fields. So why not making use of technology in the to improve this lost art, which is writing. So English language teaching has gone through several phases, and technology has been an indispensable aid to support and motivate students. In fact, previous research has shown that technology is becoming more and more prevalent in language teaching and learning. So this tool is used to support teachers when adopting any teaching method or approach. For example, when implementing the grammar translation method, teachers can use the data show, which is an ideal tool to transmit knowledge, especially grammatical input, from the teacher to the student. Besides, when it comes to the audiolingual method, audio tapes and labs assist in doing repetitive audio practices. Also, in the communicative approach, technology can be integrated through weblogs to provide authenticity as well as meaningful interaction. Educational technologies, particularly blogs, can be used in myriad pedagogical approaches to make students an active part of the learning process, especially in writing, which unfortunately, as I said before, has become a lost art. Therefore, blogs can open new horizons in education by boosting motivation for writing. So the present paper investigates the effect of blogging on students' motivation for writing. It examines the motivational aspects of using class blocks as supplementary material for writing classes and provides a new vision for learning to facilitate the tasks of both learners and instructors beyond the physical classroom. In this case, blocks are motivating learning tools that are likely to develop positive attitudes for writing, thanks to giving students an authentic purpose for writing, publishing, or sharing attitudes with a real audience. So it should be noted that the integration of blogs with writing courses is not a simple process, and that rules are vital to guarantee the success of this methodology, especially when implementing this methodology for the first time. So blogs are popular in education due to their interactive features and ability to support autonomous learning, but their beneficial role depends on the way they are used. So I suggest that blogs are an authentic tool of communication, providing a genuine audience and disinhibiting context. So the research is driven by the conviction that writing is a challenging task that requires improvements to attract the attention of students and to motivate them. So this brings me to share with you the key research questions that have shaped my study, which are as follows. How helpful is blogging in motivating students to write? And what are students' views and practices related to blogging for academic purposes? So since, as you can see, so motivation is at the heart of the presentation and the research, theoretical literature has paid attention to this concept, and academic motivation was defined by major theorists as the enjoyment of school learning, which is characterized by a mastery, orientation, curiosity, persistence, task indigeneity, and the learning of challenging, difficult, and novel tasks. So it's all about enjoyment, and this brings us to a key concept, which is intrinsic motivation, motivation from inside. That is, which is of course the highest form of motivation, as it inspires students to do things even in the absence of external rewards. And here, of course, by rewards, I mean grades. Usually students, they feel motivated when you tell them, okay, if you do this activity, so we will have a plus in your grade, in your project work, and this gives them incentive. Okay, so here intrinsic motivation is about doing the activity because the students enjoy it without waiting any rewards from the instructor. By contrast, extrinsic motivation, that is exterior, it provides a stimulus as an external motivator to engage in a certain activity. And this makes engagement externally regulated and works for the short term. And this is a key disadvantage of in teaching, because as long as there is no reward or there are no incentives, so students will not be motivated to do the activity and will not even do it. So that's why in the majority of cases, even when we assign writing as a homework, many students don't feel motivated to do it, or they simply mention some excuses like I forgot, I didn't do the homework, etc. And the key issue is about motivation now. So the inclusion of blogging in the writing process raises the level of learners' motivation, especially after receiving views and feedback from authentic audience. And this gives learners the idea that their writings matter. There are people reading, they have their own readers. And of course, reviewed studies revealed that educational blogging is beneficial and promising as a tool to motivate students, to create learner autonomy, to ignite critical thinking. And the majority of presenters shared the importance of critical thinking, which is placed as the highest form of thinking. And of course, here it's related to the writing skill, which will be improved, even though some studies raised issues and concerns about anxiety resulting from computers' infamiliarity. Here, personally, in my own experience, some students who are not familiar with technology, and particularly here I teach in a remote area, so not all students have access to technology, unfortunately. So this represented a major difficulty because the majority of them didn't feel comfortable when using blogging at the first time. So that's why, as I said before, it's very important for the instructor to be patient, and with time, students will feel confident and will get familiar with using technology. And this leads me to share with you the major methodology, which is a case study that I have applied with my secondary school students, okay? And I have adopted two major instruments to collect data. First of all, I administered a questionnaire at the beginning of the course, that is before being exposed to blogs. So to measure the purpose behind the questionnaire was to measure their motivation towards writing and to assess with time the change in students' enthusiasm towards writing. For this reason, so I surveyed students using the same questionnaire. I didn't change any questions, okay? So it was the same, but just the timing at the beginning of the study, before being exposed to blogging, and at the end of the study after being exposed to blogging for almost 2 semesters. Here I share with you a sample of the questions. How interesting are the writing classes? And the students will choose from the scale, very interesting, interesting, quite interesting, or not interesting at all. The same scale will be adopted for the rest of questions. How attentive are you in writing classes? How hard do you work when dealing with writing tasks? And how stressful is writing? So this to measure their anxiety. As I said before, so the same questionnaire was given to students before the use of blogging and after the use of blogging. Another instrument, of course, was the adoption of interviews, which were semi-structured with the students to explore the factors influencing their motivation. Questions such as, how do you feel after having your work or your friends' work published on blogger.com? Do these statistics of international audience change your attitude towards writing? And how, if the student could explain, does the feedback you read or you received on your work made you more attentive in writing classes? How often do you visit the blogs? Does it lower your anxiety towards writing? That is the frequency of visiting the virtual class blog. Does it really help in lowering stress towards writing? And what can we do to make blogging easier for you? Do you have any suggestions to improve it, etc.? And of course, here the teacher plays a key role to explain the questions and to make interviewees feel at ease, not stressed, in order to gather as much as information as we can. And of course, as you know, in Tunisia, so English is not the second language, unfortunately, it's the third language. And our students face difficulties, even at university. So as a teacher, I have an experience of teaching both at secondary schools and at university, and I can tell you that the level is not that different. So that's why assistance is very important from the part of the teacher to explain questions and to tell them that about, of course, the confidentiality criteria. Well, just a brief idea about participants. The total of students I worked with were 30, and their ages ranged between 17 to 20 years. And I have focused in my study on two major classes, arts students and sciences. Unfortunately, I didn't have the opportunity to gather data from economics students. And of course, all the students are enrolled in the public secondary school, exactly in the city of Mahdia in Tunisia. So, here I share with you my website of blog. If you want to have a visit or you want to have a look at the quality of writings shared by students, so feel free to visit whenever you want. Then I will move to analyze a sample of findings. Given the time limitation, I will not be able to share all the findings of all the questions, but I selected the major question that is related to the issue of motivation, which is as follows. How interesting are the writing classes? And as you can see in this graph, the two different colors. So in order to show the difference between the answers of students before being exposed to blogging and after being exposed to blogging as an approach or a method, there is remarkable progress and a remarkable shift concerning the answers related to especially not interesting, as you can see. So at the beginning of the study, there is an interesting percentage, about 20% of students said that the writing classes are not interesting. And here, when I say the writing classes, adopting the different approaches, whether the genre approach, writing as a process, etc. So the majority of them were not interesting to students. And this raises a key question: why my students are not interested in the writing classes? After being exposed to blogging, as you can see, this negative answer, not interesting, disappeared, and this is very motivational and shows that really blogging deserves a try. Well, the positive answers on relieved anxiety about writing were made by students who visited blogs frequently. That is the majority of students who said that they were interested in classes and they found the experience of blogging very interesting, and their motivation for their writing classes highly increased. The majority of them were frequent visitors of the class blog. And this indicates that motivation improvement among students who showed interest in the task proves that they enjoyed it, they understood its importance, and they didn't feel challenged towards the task. And that's very important to maintain motivation. And to elaborate, I share a positive answer from an interview I had with one of my students, who at the beginning said that the writing classes were not interesting, but then she changed her answer into very interesting. And she said that, I quote, "I was really happy to see my writing publishing on Blogger. Published on Blogger. I told my friends in other classes about it. I also, when I read my friends' writings, I felt jealous." So here we have sort of competition. That's one reason why I worked harder to have mine published too. I took it as a challenge. I mean, an exciting challenge, end of quote. So here, as you can see, my student who wasn't interested at the beginning, so she became jealous after seeing the writings of her friend published on Blogger. So this positive impact, it's not just about motivation. So here we also have a competition, of course, healthy competition. And it's really motivational even for the instructor to see that the students are trying to compete to have their writings published, and to see, and of course to follow the international audience that is reading for them. And this leads me to the next point, which is that students who are active and those who are not expressed that the statistics of international international audience are motivational. So from time to time, as a teacher, I print statistics about international audience to show my students that they need to keep writing, sharing their products, because there are followers interested in their pieces of writing. So their writings matter, and they are not going to be placed on a shelf just accumulating dust. And this is highly important. And I will share with you a picture from my blog site. So that shows that we have a variety of readers from different countries. Well, the majority of readers are from Tunisia, the US, European countries, Asian countries. So a variety of audience. And of course, by the way, these statistics can be seen only by the monitor of the class blog. And of course, here the monitor is the teacher. Okay, that's why I said from time to time I print statistics to them to make sure that their motivation is high, remains high, and that the majority of them will be interested in sharing their pieces of writing with the international audience. And the reason why statistics are only visible by the teacher or the monitor of the class block is that, it's not just about the use of technology. So we need to make sure that rules are respected. So this is a sort of virtual classroom. Okay, so the teacher needs to keep an eye on discipline, on the kind of commands students write, so that students will be able to have healthy communication and will benefit the maximum from the use of blogging. Okay, so in case they want to share other commands with a lower quality of writing, so they have the room to share them on Facebook or other social media, social networks, sorry. So this leads me to the next point, which is to conclude, blogging has a positive impact on students' enthusiasm towards writing. The educational community should embrace blogs and leverage their benefit to writing skills. And of course, this doesn't mean that the blogs are magic sticks that solve all problems, as I said. So it requires hard work, especially from the teacher, because the first experience is really challenging, especially when it comes to students who are not used to technology. So the teacher needs to make sure that all students are familiar with the blogging, needs to assist during free time how to create a class blog, a student blog, in order to be able to comment on their peers' works and to exchange feedback. Okay, and of course the study includes some limitations, such as, for example, concerning the Tunisian context. Well, the study was limited to the participants. It was a small sample. Okay, as I said, so I only worked with arts and sciences students. Maybe in the next studies, so we could focus on other branches, like, for example, economics, because a key problem, particularly in the Tunisian context, I repeat, is that economics, they don't pay too much attention to writing. Okay, so future research may depart from this missing point as an insight to dig further into motivation for writing, and also may focus, why not, on the impact of blogging on the quality and quantity of writing, and see whether or not technology has an impact on quality. In my research, I have focused only on motivation, how to motivate students to write, to share, and to maintain their level of motivation for the virtual class blog. However, Other researchers may focus on the quality of writing, the impact of blogging on improving the quality of writing, maybe. Other researchers from different countries, especially those teaching English as a second or a third language, as a foreign language, could implement this study. Well, this brings me to the end of my talk. Thank you so much for your kind attention. And if you have any questions or you need clarification about some point, I'll be glad to answer your questions. Thank you so much.
We have a question, please, if you can just answer the question.
Absolutely, yes, please.
Yeah.
Hi, thank you so much for the very informative presentation. As a middle school teacher, I have a problem with getting students motivated when it comes to writing. So yeah, I can relate a lot to this. So I have a couple of questions for you. You mentioned a platform called Blogger. Just wanted to ask, is it totally free? Because, you know, in some schools, teachers are on their own. You know, sometimes the district or, you know, the school would buy the platform for them, sometimes not. So I just wanted to know whether it's for free and teachers can use it, you know, without paying money for this. That's number one. Number two, you mentioned something very interesting. You said, you know, English is a third language in Tunisia. So that's a challenge you're facing when it comes, you know, to getting students motivated to write. I just wanted to ask you, is it the same thing with Arabic and French? Because I know Arabic and French, they can be the first and second language in Tunisia. So are you facing the same motivation issues when it comes to other languages as well? And again, I really thank you for the very informative presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your questions. Yeah. Concerning, I also can relate with you because the same thing here in Tunisia, we are facing lots of difficulties, and teachers also here are left on their own. But fortunately, I have good news for you that in order to create a blog, it's totally free. Okay, and it's simple. Even so, as I said at the beginning, the teacher plays a key role in helping students to get rid of stress, especially students who are not familiar with technology. So they will ask, what is this blog? How can I create an account? Is it free? So the same questions. Thank you so much for bringing my attention to this point. Actually, so you will follow just 3 main steps. So you can log in using your address email. Okay, you create, you have to choose either you want to create a class blog, so it's for teacher, or a tutor, or a student blog. Okay, so using just the 3 steps, and I will be glad to share my study with you. I have a Word version. I will share it in the comment section if you want, because I have the steps mentioned there. So it's totally free. Okay, accessible, and it includes animation, animated pictures, and of course this is highly important, especially when it comes to motivation. I don't know if it's possible to share my class blog with you. I will try to share my screen, so maybe you can have a better idea. Just a minute. Please tell me when it is visible.
This is the blogger.
Yeah, can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So here you have a statistic also, as I said, so only the admin could see the statistics. That's why from time to time I print statistics. So as you can see here, the total of page viewers. So we have reached a good number, let's say. Thousands of visitors, okay, from a variety of countries, okay. So So this is for the current academic year. Okay, some of the pieces of my students' writings. Also, so the other question was about teaching English as a third language. Yeah, absolutely. So since we exchange informations with colleagues of other languages, the French teachers, they mentioned also the same problems. Students are not motivated to practice foreign languages. Even when it comes to in Tunisia, French is the second language. We are facing the same issue. So it's not about whether the language is spoken as the second or the third or even the first, but it's about motivation. And that's why I related motivation with the quality, quantity, frequency, everything. Without motivation, particularly intrinsic motivation, okay, students will not be able to make a visible progress in their career, educational career, let's say, and even in their work career, unfortunately. That's why we need to make sure as instructors that we pay too much attention to this point. We need to work on long-term objectives, and we need to maintain, to make sure that our students, whether they are still at school or after graduation, they maintain a high level of intrinsic motivation. Because as I said, extrinsic motivation works for short term. Students are motivated just because they know that they will get good grades at school after graduating, so they will lose that motivation, and with time, so they unfortunately, I say it, writing will become a lost art, and especially nowadays with the impact of technology. So students are used to write in short forms, abbreviations. So this is the impact of social media, so Facebook. So this will have a negative impact, and also it was proven by many researchers that unfortunately it had a negative impact on the quality of writing. That's why I said in future research, maybe we could pay attention on the quality. So for the time being, I only focus on motivation. Okay, this is what matters for me. And why not in the future, we can focus on the quality of writings. And of course, when we say writing, automatically, so it's related to other skills, okay, with time. So the students who works on the writing skill will have a good progress in other skills, especially speaking. I hope I have answered your questions.
Your experience, because students are totally online, so that exposes them to websites from which they can plagiarize. And now there's another challenge that you cannot know whether the content is 100% plagiarized or not because of ChatGPT and other platforms that paraphrase. So I'm not sure. Just wanted to get your opinion on this one. What do you think? Is plagiarism an issue for you? If you want to get them motivated, maybe they're motivated, they started writing, but now some of them, especially young ones, are not going to make good decisions. They're just going to copy them from another source. What's your take on this one?
Absolutely, yeah. This is a really good point. Thank you so much for sharing it. So here, you let me to think about another impact of artificial intelligence. Actually, I have recently shared a publication on the potential of artificial intelligence in classroom teaching. And among the key points I mentioned is that there are ethical issues. As you said, plagiarism. Yeah, unfortunately, many students are going to copy and paste content. But thanks to technology, so it's easy to detect whether the content is plagiarized or not. So there are many platforms, many free websites that could analyze the content and detect whether it is fake, that is written by a certain program, or human. Okay, and of course, when it comes to motivation, even as a teacher, I talk about my own experience. Even if I know 100%, and I am sure 100% that a student plagiarized the content, I will say it's good. the fact that you have tried to look for some content, you wanted to share your writing, but what about paraphrasing in your own words? Try to write a summary for the content you copied from another website. And in order to, so here I work on motivation, in order to take your work into consideration, because usually I grade the work on the class blog as part of the project work. Another difficulty is that the majority of students in the oral exam, they don't pay too much attention to the project work. So the majority of them bring a ready-made research from the internet, copy-paste from websites. So I tell them that they need to summarize, okay, in their own words, and they need to write about a certain topic, and they make sure to revise whether they have used it correctly, linkers, etc. So so this is about revising the work. So if I detect that a student committed plagiarism and I say, oh, you plagiarized the content, you are going to be punished, etc. So I guess the student will lose motivation once and for all. So and the total study will fail. So that's why I try to be a bit flexible and to turn that failure or that bad behavior, okay, into sort of success, and it works. That's why the instructor here is required to play a key role. You need to supervise, to control content, comments. Sometimes so you find some peers who are sharing frustrating, let's say, comments. So try to make sure that they provide positive feedback to each other. They encourage each other, and by this we could benefit the maximum from the impact of technology. So this brings me to conclude that technology is indeed a double-edged weapon. Okay, so it depends. So ethically, how you use it. Some students could use it in the positive way. However, others, unfortunately, so will use it in a negative way, will plagiarize content. And here comes the role of the instructor, how to cope, let's say, with the technology, and especially with the great progress in artificial intelligence. So we could make a good use of artificial intelligence. And I hope I have answered your question.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye. We have to
Goodbye.
close.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you so much.